this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. You'll be pleased to know I did my talk yesterday and it seemed to go down very well. So much so I've been asked to do another one. I knew that was going to happen. I don't want that to take over, but it is quite nice actually to prepare a 45-minute sort of presentation. It takes an awful lot of thought, but the thing I want to do next time is I'm very, well, I won't say slapdash, but tidy with my video clips. So I often get lots of clips, sometimes taken on different days, and then I put them all together and make a video. And once that video is actually uploaded onto YouTube as a self-contained video, I delete the clips. So they're lost forever, basically. I've got the video, yes, but not my version on the computer, just the YouTube one, which obviously doesn't port itself around very well. But what I plan on doing now is when I get an interesting clip of something like a repotting a phalaenopsis or something, when I do something like that from now on, I'm going to start thinking about the next presentation and put those clips to one side. I can store them on my external drive so they're not in my way, and you know, put the next one together relatively slowly in bits and then put it all together. And I'll do the same as last time. I'll make a YouTube version of it and then you can all rip it to pieces. Sorry, advise me on things I should change. But yeah, it seemed to go down very well. And doing it for real, you know, when I did the YouTube version, I played it back on the computer and talked through it and recorded that soundtrack and added it in, because obviously it's a silent presentation when it's done for real. But I did find when I did it for real, the timings were out in places and the words I wanted to say in one place overran to the sort of next part of the video, and then I had to cut that bit short to keep up. So I'm going to try and do the next one with plenty of space, if you know what I mean, so that you know, when a piece of the presentation moves on, I'm not rushed, but I'll have stacks of time to put that one together, so we'll see how we go with that. Now, Windows has decided to take over my computer this morning and do a real major update. It's been at it 2 hours already. It's in its final stages, but when it decides to let me have my computer back, you know, bearing in mind I own it, but nonetheless this is a major update, so I wonder what they will have messed up, changed this time round. Whenever there's a major update like that, I always find something that just doesn't work like it used to. I'll call it different rather than messed up, but sometimes it gets a bit fiddly as to how things are working because they've changed it, so a little learning curve for me, but that's in the background. Right, I did say I was going to do my start of season updates. Well, the start of season's been and gone, so too late now. But I still, last year I did May updates, which were like the start of season. So that's what I'm going to start working on now. And I've got an idea. I've got my 2 tables now, so I've got somewhere to film. But I am getting fed up with that backdrop. Yeah? A lot of the plants get filmed on that table. Now, having a fan nearby, I can just pick that up and move it, yeah? But that table is a useful place to film. But that is not a nice thing to look at. So what I'm in the middle of doing is getting a piece of that cut to size, yeah? And then I'm going to pin it round here so that it becomes a permanent thing. It will get dripped on a little bit, but I'll make sure it's not long enough to dangle on the floor and actually soak up water as such. And if it gets tatty over time, then I can replace it, but it should last a nice long time because, like I say, it doesn't really get dripped on that much. So I'm going to pin that up round there so that I've got a decent backdrop, because I really am getting fed up with looking at all that mess outside the glass. And I'll make a start today. But just to give you a clue as to the extent of the update, I'm going to stick a slide up now of what I'm actually attempting to film, just so that you get a clue. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing we're looking at. Yeah, it's a lot of orchids. but I thought I'd start part one by actually setting the task. You can see that's a lot of orchids to film, and I'm sure some of you will be looking at that list and going, oh, I didn't know he had one of them, oh, I didn't know he had some of them. That's because they don't get filmed very often. You know, there are some orchids that don't get filmed very often. Either they're young plants, nothing going on, or, you know, there are reasons. But I'm going to go through the lot, and hopefully by the time I finish the list doesn't change much. But I did have a nice little surprise yesterday morning. This is an orchid with a strange name that I always thought was a Cattleya type, but I've recently found out it's actually in the Oncidium alliance. It's Rodriguesiae liana, and this was a gift from Rachel. And it's got a spike. Now, I thought this plant was too young to bloom, and it pushed up that new growth mainly through the winter, so it's not even full size yet. But we have a spike, so that's a first time bloomer, and I love those. I remember seeing, I mean, Rachel's got a good size one of these. I think it's in a basket, and I mean, it has bloomed before, but I didn't expect this to bloom just yet. I thought it was a bit small, but yep, we have a spike coming on that. I look forward to that. Can't even remember what the blooms look like, but we'll find out down the line. Takes a while, these things. And I did say yesterday that I'd film this when it fully opens. This is Odontoglossum naeviem, and these are not fully open yet, but I did say that they would open during today. So certainly over the next couple of days this spike should be fully open. We can have a good look at these blooms. You can sort of get a hint of what's to come. They're very well spotted, beautiful patterning front and back. Yeah, you're looking at the backs of the blooms now. You can see the colour, and there's some lovely yellow in the lip there, but they're not fully open, so we'll get to those soon. The Shelob Tolkien first spike is progressing nicely now. It's on its fifth bloom, just starting to open, so that's it's got another one to go on that spike, so another few days that will be fully open. That will look good, as they do. And yeah, I don't think that brassy is ready to open yet, just yet. What's and that one? The hairy monster up here, I would suggest that bud is about to open, either today or tomorrow. It's got its colour now, and it's just starting to split. So the hairy monster, Dendrobium senile, will be open possibly today, later today, maybe during tomorrow, but I can't remember how long it takes for the blooms to fully open and flatten out, if you know what I mean, because they take a while to unfurl, but that will be coming soon. So this is just a sort of quick video really on what's going on. I will be doing a lot of filming today on the grounds that yesterday was a dull day all day, yeah, and all the pots were watered recently, and the mounts were given a good watering and feed yesterday, and because it was a dull day, a fair few of those mounts won't have dried out yet. They'll be heading towards dryness, but depending on what the weather does today, I may get away with no watering at all, so I can crack on with filming these sort of May updates. And as I said, I'm going to film them in the order I water them in, so that I don't miss any. It's a set sequence in my mind most of the time, starting on certain shelves, clear that shelf off, put it back. Yeah, that guarantees I don't miss anything. Well, that's the theory anyway, but that's the list, and we'll go from there. And I may post one later today, depends how far I get. Putting the clips together will take a little while, but I'm not going to film plants individually. It takes too long, and it leaves me too little time. So I'll probably do them in groups. Some of the bigger ones will have to be done on their own because they're going to take up the whole flipping table. But I will probably do quite a few of them in groups of a few at a time, and then just talk through that group as to how they are doing or not, as the case may be, and what I'm expecting of them during this growing season, if anything, like staying alive would be good, things like that. getting some blooms for once would be good. All of that sort of things like that, and we'll see how we go. So thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, it definitely looks a little bit better without that tatty looking backdrop, and yeah, when I'm filming on that table I'll feel much more comfortable, and if there's any special types of filming rather than quick stuff or anything, I can just pick that fan up and move it and move the table slightly into the corner, so I'll have a much better place to film. That racket out there is workmen. This is a giggle, you'll like this. This structure went up 2 houses down, so from the bedroom window you could sort of see this structure going up, and I'm not kidding you, it was about 6 meters by about 3 meters, maybe even slightly larger than that, and you know, it was sort of like a double skinned block wall going up, and it looked like it had what was going to be a doorway in it, and it was difficult to work out what it was. And then alongside it, this little sort of hut was going up, which they're now putting the roof on, and electrics were going in. And it suddenly dawned on me, these people obviously keep koi carp, and they had a very large tank with a huge elaborate filtration system to keep these fish in. And that's obviously a holding tank, that's not where they were planned to live. And I sort of wondered, I wonder if they're actually making a giant koi pond. And what I thought was the doorway had a huge panel of glass put in it. So it wasn't to walk through at all, it was part of the structure. And then when my daughter was down for the weekend, it started filling up with water. So I thought it was going to be a pond. I sort of said, come and have a look at this. And the glass panel was a brilliant idea, because from like the rest of the garden you'd be able to see right into the, you know, the depths of the water from that end. And I just casually said to my daughter, that's a lot of water going in there. The weight is going to be colossal. I hope those walls are strong enough. Well, there was a huge crash. And the whole side wall just gave in, and thousands of gallons of water flooded their garden and the whole garden next door as well. And I'm laughing. It's not funny, because obviously that wall is now a write-off, and they're going to have to think again. I mean, I can remember I used to know some guys who did pond design and build. So if you wanted a nice elaborate pond, you know, with a fountain in the middle and a statue with a guy with a bow and arrow and all that sort of stuff, they'd design it and then come and build it for you. And they had a golden rule. Once a body of water gets to a certain size, unless you want to get sort of reinforced steel built into the walls and all sorts of elaborate bracing and things like that, the golden rule was 2/3 of the depth need to be under the ground, and let the ground support the bulk of the weight. And then just the upper part of the pond is self-contained behind walls. And these guys obviously tried to do the whole of the pond. You know, these walls are 4 foot high. So just sort of think about that volume and weight of water, and it just pushed the whole wall open. It just split off at the corners and the whole wall went. And I shouldn't be laughing, because they must have wasted so much money, because they've got workmen in to do it, so people are getting paid to do this and do it wrong. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what they come up with next. But quite honestly, their best solution would be to sink that down in the ground and get the weight underground where it can't push out so much, and then just have the, you know, the top couple of feet above ground, something like that, with a braced wall. But yeah, far too much weight for, basically it was a double skinned wall, but you know, they were only concrete blocks, you know, with standard sort of cement joints, and although vertically those walls are very strong, they're not that strong if you push against them. You know, it's a different type of principle. Once you start filling something up with water, it tries to escape sideways, and that's what it did. It escaped. So that was a bit of fun. Anyway, I'm a bit pleased with that. That's a couple of minutes work, and I don't know what material that is, but that did not want to cut with my scissors. That took some cutting. I mean, it doesn't seem particularly thick, but it's very stretchy. It's a strange material, whatever it is. Anyway, the tatty edges don't matter too much. I may tidy them up one day, but yeah, a nice little black backdrop now. So, you know, the backdrop to the... And that'll set the plants off nicely as well. So, yeah, pleased with that.